pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you so much, and we will do a quick roll call for attendance. Ms. Arp.
Here.
Mr. Byer.
Present.
Ms. Hensley.
Here.
Ms. Conley, I believe, is fully excused for working. Ms. Howland.
Here.
Ms. Powell.
Here.
Mr. Vriesenga also had an engagement and has emailed. Mr. Wilks. Here. And Mr. Ringler is present. Moving on to public comments, those citizens wishing to speak on agenda and non-agenda items will be allowed a maximum of 4 minutes to address their concerns. This is the only time during the DDA meeting that citizens are allowed to address the board. Please state your name and address for the record if you would like. Is there anyone who wishes to speak for the informational portion of the meeting? Seeing none and hearing none, we will move on to our informational presentation. Mr. Womack.
Yes, so this is not required by state law. As you guys know, I've done a few of these in the past. We're supposed to give information about how DDAs operate, how TIFA districts operate, etc. So I've chosen item 13 on your development plan we discussed today is establishing downtown recreation and annual signature events. This component consists of the creation and development of signature events and activities in the downtown area. As you guys know, the Downtown Development Authority is tasked with redeveloping the downtown, which through the, I guess, advent of cars, those types of business uses have generally been moved out towards busier roads, the expressway, etc. So you guys get some money to redevelop downtown. One of the ways that you can promote the downtown businesses through festivals, etc. So we do have the authority to spend money on the development of such events. So the city of Cedar Springs has been with the DDA and the chamber and the city itself and the library have tried to develop some new events in the downtown area, including the start of summer reading program, the summer concerts in the park, the long existing Red Flannel Festival, and some other events like the Cedar Blitz bike race and any other events that we can help. So I'll leave it to you to discuss, but this is something that we should be working on and we have funding to work on. So I guess I'll field any questions for any thoughts you guys have might have about downtown events and signature events.
Hooray.
Yeah. So do we have, if we get this new downtown guy like we were talking about?
Gabrielle.
Yeah. This isn't going to take time for you to create all these forms and things that will be needed. Will this be an ordinance or a policy, or I just don't get how it's going to work and
Sure.
who's going to work it.
Yeah, so I mean, it's not really any dissimilar from what we're doing right now. You know, the Cedar Blitz bike race comes to the city and says, hey, we'd like to hold an event in your town.
Mm-hmm.
DDA has the authority to say, you know what, we believe that this event would be good for the downtown and we're going to financially support it
Mm-hmm.
by putting X number of dollars towards law enforcement, DPW, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So they then submit a community event application to the council, which gets approved. And then this board then donates whatever money they put forward to say, we believe this event's good for the downtown.
Mhm.
So it doesn't really create any new burdens. Doesn't really go outside of what our normal practices currently are. But this board also has the authority and ability to create its own events, one of which we'll be talking about today.
That's what I need to know, is who's going to be running it. There's always paperwork and boards and stuff,
There is.
and meetings. Yes.
Any other questions on this informational topic? Otherwise, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Informational meeting is adjourned. I would then call our regularly scheduled DDA meeting to order. If we could stand, please, for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We'll do a roll call of attendance. Ms. Art.
Here.
Mr. Byer.
Here, here.
Ms. Ensley.
Here.
Ms. Conley is excused. Ms. Howland.
Here.
Ms. Powell.
Here.
Mr. Ringler is present. Mr. Vriesinga is excused, and Mr. Wilks.
At the end, here.
Okay, awesome. Public comments. Those citizens wishing to speak on agenda or non-agenda items will be allowed a maximum of 4 minutes to address their concerns. This is the only time that citizens will be allowed to address the Downtown Development Authority. Please state your name and address for the record if you would like. Is there anyone who wishes to speak? Seeing none and hearing none, we'll move on to any conflicts of interest and ex parte communication. And I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda. Any additions or deletions?
I have a question about the consent agenda. Is it too soon to ask that or?
I believe that would be on the very next item.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, could I have a motion to approve the agenda, please?
Motion. Any second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. We'll move on to the consent agenda, which includes the approval of the minutes from the February 28th meeting, the financial report, and an approval of the MNRTF letter of support.
Ms. Powell, I understand your question.
Yeah.
I just had 65 other emails.
No problem. I didn't get a chance to look.
So basically, the city is applying for the grant from the Michigan DNR for the playground, natural playground in the heart of Cedar Springs, amongst other park improvements. And so one of the ways that you can score additional points in that grant application is if local bodies of interest would submit letters of support. We're seeking letters of support from the DDA, the chamber, the library, the Parks and Recreation, NKCE board, etc. So I wrote this letter on your behalf, but I do need.
I'll say my prose was wonderful in that scene, as I had never seen it, but.
You're a remarkably great ghostwriter. I don't know if you knew that or not.
I've never used before. So if you guys are in support of the city getting that grant, I would ask that you approve it.
I see no reason not to support that letter. If somebody has a reason, I will happily listen, but I see no reason not to.
So if we just approve the whole consent agenda, we're good to go, right?
Correct.
Well, I guess I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Beautiful.
I will second that.
Wonderful. All in favor of approving the
I'm
consent?
sorry, I have a
Okay.
real quick question. I apologize. Motion to accept and file the financial report is in there.
Correct. It's in your packet.
Approving this.
No, the new budget, no.
That's not the budget. That's on unfinished business.
Thank you, thank you.
Okay,
All right, we have a motion that's seconded on the floor. All in favor of approving the consent agenda?
aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And we move on then to unfinished business. That is a motion to approve and recommend the DDA budget to the city council. And Mr. Byer, if you had questions on that.
Well, yeah, I think I understand most of it, but my question is, for example, if you go back up to he's allowed, or we're asking for $3,000 for the events, i.e. 1,500 for a bike race, 1,500 for whatever. All right, what happens to that money? And again, who gets the money? And then what happens if we don't need that much money? I know, for example, Vanderhyde Ford, we're gonna donate, we're gonna be a sponsor, we're gonna give water. How much does this bike race cost? Where do we come up with 1,500? And I know that's your job and it's tough.
Yeah.
How do we come up with that on all of these things? And why can't we, for example, and I just made a quick little note, like, okay, you've got $5,000 for public art, and then the theater festival sweepstakes, and then the holiday display lights. And that totals, and I threw in the winter snow removal. We don't know how much money really we need for snow removal. You don't know. You can't. You're guessing. You got to be, I think. Okay. Because if we need it a second time, it's going to be more. Maybe We don't need it all, depending on the weather. My question is, why can't we combine that? And have a general fund, gives you the authority or to just spend it when you need it, if we need it.
So I appreciate the vote of confidence that I could be the dictator of the DDA.
Fine.
Um, But the whole point is that you guys are the ones who delineate what we spend money on.
Understand
Now, you're right. I don't have any word from above about how many times it's going to snow next year. So it is a guess. Now, we try to make educated guesses based on past years. And you're right, public art, $5,000. I don't know. We can contract with somebody who'll say it'll be 4,500 or 5,500. I don't know.
I understand that.
But we're estimating. And so you guys are giving me the authority right now, at least, to say, okay, at some point during the year, I'm going to want to spend $5,000 on public art.
No, you can spend $500.
So I will go out to the public, the artists, and say, hey, I'm looking for whatever type of art and my budget is $5,000. I then bring back to you guys some piece of art that's going to cost somewhere around $5,000. You then have the authority to say, you know what, I agree with that, or no, I don't agree with that.
So that's where the checks and balances come in on this.
Yeah, so
On your numbers.
very much so. And we always see the budget as a living document. I mean, heck, we here at City Hall had $75,000 for a new roof this past year. And we decided that the roof was less concerning than the HVAC system. So instead, we installed the HVAC system with that $75,000. I think that only cost us $30,000 or $40,000. We had X number of dollars left over, right? So that money then goes back into your fund balance at the end of the year. Now, I don't have your exact fund balance at this point, but I think it's $40,000-ish. And same thing with all this stuff. Part of the reason that we don't have exact quotes on some of this is because I simply don't have time.
Oh, you
as a
can't.
Staff
I
to
couldn't.
go out and get quotes for some of this stuff.
I understand that.
So we're estimating, and then anything I don't spend will go back into your budget. And I'm sure Ms. Powell is going to bring this up, but $20,000 for parking lot signage improvements, et cetera. One of my hopes this year is that the old fire barn gets knocked down and that we put parking in its place. Not only is that good for downtown businesses, it's good for the library, it's good for the Heart of Cedar Springs, right? Will the parking lot cost more than that? Absolutely. Will we find some other way to fund that parking lot? Possibly, yeah. Do we have any money set aside for the 17 North Main Street property, the one that we're getting the guy to come in and do a planning for? We don't have any money planned for that. So it's also possible that that $20,000 for parking lots, at some point in the near future, you guys could say, you know what, parking lots aren't nearly as important as fixing up that property.
Slash improvements.
Yeah. So you could, at some later date, say, we're going to transfer 20,000 from parking lots to 20,000 for 17 North Main improvements. It requires a budget amendment, which is no big deal. We'll prepare that for you. But it's kind of it's a living document budget. This is just kind of the roadmap for what you guys want me to work on throughout the year.
And all that would come back to us for final approval
For the most part.
for the most part.
So through.
I could say like the concerts last year, we were under budget.
Right.
We had better than that. So money did come back that ended up in our account because we didn't
My-
spend it.
my
Between the
question to what-
sponsors that we had and our contribution to it, the city council made a contribution to it. So it's a budget, no different than you guys have at work and you don't get the cars you ordered and you adjust your budgets.
And the parking lot is for a new parking, not the fire barn parking lot
Well, it
that
would be,
now exists.
so it would be for any parking lot in the DD district.
Okay?
So for example, behind City Hall, we have a parking lot.
I'm with that. I'm good with it.
And it's within the district. So we could use it for that, but because it's over what I would say my spending limit is, I'd have to come back for your special approval on that item. Now, through the city, my spending limit, my personal spending limit is $3,000. So anything up to $3,000, I can spend really without your guys' authority, the second authority. Now it's my practice to come back regardless, if I can, and get permission before I spend your money. But that's kind of how it works. I mean, for example, Miss Ensley spends money on the flower boxes each year. Can I authorize up to $500 of spending without coming back to you guys? Yeah. Do I? Normally not.
And one more question I can't, based on what you, the money for employee, the $10,000, is that us or is there $20,000 total? Another 10,000 by the,
Yep, so,
I think that's the way I'm reading it.
so last year we had a summer help, a DPW summer help person who would come in and help with the, flower boxes, whatever. We're gonna do something a little bit different this year. Instead, this year, we're gonna fund that person solely through the city's budget. And instead, what we're hoping is that this $10,000 employee will be combined with some city money and Sparta money. We have a full-time staff person who will be here in the city 2.5 days per week.
Good, thank
I
you,
will dedicate some of their time towards getting your stuff done.
thank you. I'm good with it.
Great
Maybe,
questions. The $500 for the portable restrooms, is that during the concert time or
Yeah,
all
so,
summer?
Every year now, we put out 2 portable restrooms at the staging area, just for general use throughout the year.
Mhm.
Just because we acknowledge that one bathroom is not really sufficient out there.
Okay, that's what that's for. And a community event sponsorship. Now, the library does some fantastic things down there. Is there a possibility that we could get a little chunk of something for them for their activities?
Well, so last year, I think it was 1,000 for the concerts and 1,000 for the bike race. I
Mhm.
just upped that because
Mhm.
they're good events and we support them. There's no reason you guys couldn't change that to what it was originally, 1,000 for concerts, 1,000 for bike races, and now take the extra 1,000 and put it towards something else.
Okay,
We haven't identified anything else.
right. I'm just thinking of all the activities that the library does down in the heart of Cedar Springs that maybe they could use a few bucks for that.
If the board wants the,
Just a thought. Social district signs, are those the signs that go around the park to say, well, you can't go here with your,
yeah, so I did spend $250, I think, last year on that signage. The problem is, I don't know if you guys have been out there, but that ground is harder than cement. And I actually had to get a drill and drill it in and out every time. And I originally, on my own time, was going out there and doing that each week, so the signs weren't out during storms and whatever else. But walking through the downtown Rockford, Aurora area,
Mhm.
instead they have just plastic signs that they put on like their posts,
Okay,
So I think what I'm gonna do is buy some new signage and just leave it up permanently.
something a little different than that other, that was,
I don't anticipate it'll actually cost 500.
those were good looking, but the wind just blew them right over. Okay, well, that's something for us to look at.
I obviously missed the last meeting, but the Camp Theater Festivals, or something forthcoming, or is there a proposal?
So that's something we're talking about today. And it kind of came up over between last meeting and this meeting, so you guys haven't seen or discussed this issue at all. But I've had discussions with, various businesses throughout the DD district who are concerned that the shutting of the Main Street Bridge will reduce the amount of traffic that they have going past. And I thought this might be a good way to both assist a longstanding, pillar of our community while also bringing people into the downtown. But again, this is your guys' baby. If you don't want to do it, we can.
Well, I guess I don't know what the it is. Is there something that's proposed, or is this just an idea that, hey, we should create a festival?
A little bit of both.
This would have to be, somebody actually would have to take this and run with it.
Yes, so a little bit of both. I did discuss this with Mr. Hopkins and Mr. Len Allington since I put this into your agenda. I think I put that email into your packet.
I was looking.
So it looks to be similar to. Bring it up here. This would be page 38 of your packet. This would be similar to kind of concerts in the park, $300-ish to $500-ish per film. And then, at least from what I understand, they would kind of take care of everything else. We would pay for the film. Now, part of what we're going to be discussing later is, well, how do we divvy up free tickets? And how many do we want to do? And, what kind of films are we looking for? I know it's a little late last second, which is why I'll again say, we can say, 5,000 for the Kent Theater Festival today, but if next week we can't come up with a final plan, then we'll convert that money to something else.
I guess as a budget item, I mean, if that's really all we have is an email, that seems it is a substantial chunk when, as Rose brought up, there are other things that are existing we could support. I mean, if they can come up, I think a film fest would be a great idea, but it's April.
Well, so, if we were to do 10 to 12 movies, similar to the concerts in the park, at $300 to $500 per pop, I mean, that could be as little as $3,000, as much as $5,000. You guys could say right now, instead of doing,
Is this envisioned as an ongoing series similar to?
well, and again, you guys are the policymakers.
Well, I know you're throwing this at us as an idea, and that's, I'm saying, none of us have heard of this, so that's why I'm
So
asking.
the bridge is going to be out for the entire summer. I think part of the goal of the DDA is to create events to bring people into the downtown. This is, when I see, a fairly easy way to do that and fairly cheap, all things considered. So I carved out $5,000 in your budget as a possibility. Now, if this is not something you guys want to support because it's too late in the year to do it, and we just put that money in the fund balance or some other issue, well, we can do that. That's certainly something within your purview. But I thought it might be a fun idea. I'm sure
Again, I'm still struggling with what it is. What is it that's a good idea?
I think he's proposing that we sponsor some free movies.
It is
which is what we're going to try to flesh out a little bit later on, but yeah, that's essential. We would put together a series of free movies on some night of the week, and then probably, figure out some way to give the tickets out to the public.
What the theater does is you pay for like 100 tickets or so, and then they just give them out free to 100 kids. Maybe they don't need that many, maybe they do, but they've got it all figured out in that direction.
Well, or
$100 a movie.
or you could give the businesses, a free redeem a ticket vouchers, and then they have
Yeah,
to
all kinds of things.
come and buy something, and then you can give them a free ticket, or you can hand them out at the concerts in the park a couple days ahead of time.
Yeah, yeah.
All sorts of methods of doing it. The question is whether you guys think it's a good idea.
I think it's a good idea. I just don't know if we're gonna be able to put it together for this summer, because it is already April. Unless we're doing it as like one film at a time over the course of 10 or 12 weeks, that's more manageable as opposed to a single weekend-long festival.
Oh, not a week, yeah. My vision at least was one per week over.
That makes more sense. Well, that's what I was being confused too, because we were calling it a festival now.
So this whole time I'm thinking we're literally talking about shutting down everything and for Kent Theater for like 2 days in July for a film festival, which is a great idea. We're not throwing that together in 3 months.
No, and I mean, we could also do this once a week.
Right.
To bring people in, an additional day per week. But
It's not only more manageable, but I think a better idea because you're going to spread that out over a longer period of time.
if it's successful though, we could talk about maybe doing exactly what you're envisioning.
Because I think an idea like a couple day long film festival, whether we did it at the height of summer or the height of winter, would be a good idea to bring people to Cedar Springs. It's not a bad idea, especially in an older theater like the Kent Theater, but it's not something I think we could put together between now and this summer. I think it's a great, I love that idea. It's a beautiful idea.
Series is what we're basically
A
talking
film
about.
series, we could easily put together between now and then. And I'd be
I think
100%
they do all
behind it.
work. I
And
really do.
well, beyond that, I also think there would be, we try that out and the series works, then that is a reason to next year say, you know what, let's try this as a festival, whether it's 1 day or 2 day long festival. Okay, test the waters with a film series this summer and then see what happens
Yeah.
next year.
And we do have to talk to them, so there you go.
I think we should just sponsor like 5 movies and do 5 free movies for kids and let Kent Theater figure out all the details.
Yeah.
And say, we're gonna buy 100 tickets for each 5 of these movies. I think that's a great idea. Maybe we don't have to say that we're spending $5,000. Maybe we say we're spending $2,000. I don't know, right? But it also helps a business in our town that I'm sure has been struggling since COVID. Right? I would.
Well, and what we
think-
may want to do is even amend that to say $5,000 for summer events during construction, but with the idea
Yeah.
of saying we're going to earmark this amount to it for the film series would be.
So maybe do $5,000.
Gives us some
and do of
flexibility.
the Start of summer stuff, because I know last year we spent thousands on blow up things.
What blow up thing?
Blow the bouncy houses and all that stuff.
Mhm.
So,
But it'd be a good idea, I think. And I don't think it'd be that hard for the theater to put it together, but they have to be. Let
Takes
us
all
know what they
time.
want to do.
So would you like me to change Kent Theater Festival or Streetscape Envisioning to just summer events? I mean,
I would think, yeah, whether it's a film series and summer events, maybe something along those lines. That just gives us a little flexibility, but
Festival implies you're doing it all at once, and it's, I was confused from the very beginning that I thought that's what we were doing, and I was like, no.
well, that's where my concern was too, was that I was hung up on the word festival.
so again, we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves because this isn't.
Yes,
what we're gonna
yes.
discuss, But one of the things you see Streetscape Envisioning, I think in the next year or so, we might have curb bump outs up and down Main Street. And right there in front of the theater is one of those places we've talked about putting them in, which would add an additional amount of kind of real estate in front of the theater. I know the theaters had long complaints about that flower box being there, along with the tree being there. And so I thought maybe we might want to spend some money on re-envisioning the streetscape right in front of the theater to be more theater friendly. Of course, you guys are spending 4,000 something for the 17 North Main Street property. So you could spend this 5,000 on that as an option as well. Leave that for the discussion. Any other thoughts about the budget?
And again, this may have been covered in the last meeting, but the budget itself, I mean, with our with 68 grand total here is that's this year's revenue, projected revenue, or is that including savings that we have?
So that's projected revenue for this year as of last week. Now,
It doesn't include the 40 or so grand that we still have.
now, Ms. Falcon and I did have some sit downs today because we did have border review last week. I don't know if that will impact on your budget or not. Maybe to a minor extent, but yeah, about 68,000, what you should have for this new year.
One more,
Better than 2016.
one thing, the bridge is the southbound Northland Detour. You know if that is, sure there's gonna be a detour signs up. And is that gonna be White Creek or is that gonna be Fifth Street? Do you know?
Well, so you can tell people all day long where to go. I suspect people who are southbound are most likely going towards the 131. And so their likely bypass is going to be Pine Street to Solon Street to White Creek South. Now, northbound, if you're trying to go north on Main Street, the official bypass will be Cherry to Fifth, Fifth to Pine, Pine to Main.
Not 17-mile or Muskegon to Pine.
Correct.
My thought is, it'd be nice to keep as close to downtown as we could. All right, okay, so if you went Pine Street to fit, had some kind of, maybe put some money for signage, maybe a little flashing sign or something with downtown or something. I don't know, I'm just throwing that out there. I'm envisioning trying to get people to go downtown and not to go to Save-A-Lot.
Unfortunately, we have certain requirements that we
By
have.
the state, I understand.
Construction. So, yeah, we will have signage at Cherry Street, indicating where the bypass is.
Thank you.
Just say open to downtown businesses or something.
Yeah, something like that, or just an arrow going to downtown, you know, a free movie tonight, or I don't know.
Events in progress.
There you go.
Yeah, we talked about getting some signage along the street when the festivals are up and going, that there were signs that somebody driving through would know that there's gonna be kids and people,
Way ahead
and
of me then.
dogs and who knows what, just to know that, something's going on, slow down.
But I will definitely look and make sure we have some signage for businesses north of Cherry Street.
The parking lots and parking lot signage improvements. The parking lot is the one where the fire barn would be, is 20 grand
Well,
if
so,
it was gone.
again, I'm putting there 20,000 for parking lots, which is anywhere in the DDA.
Yes,
Now, it's my intention and hope that we're able to fund some kind of parking lot improvement at the current location of the fire barn.
Yes.
But I don't know,
Yes.
because it's also possible that if we get approved for the DNR grant, which you guys just wrote a very nice letter of support, which I appreciate.
Yes.
That we might have that parking lot funded as part of that grant.
Yay.
If that's the case, now instead of directly benefiting parking lots, I might ask you guys to donate towards a matching grant funding for the park, because it accomplishes the same goal.
Excellent.
So there's multiple ways you could use that.
Is the fire barn that was scheduled in May to go down? When is that?
Well, we did go out for bids and received no bids, so yes. So we're currently talking to various companies to see what it would cost.
They all say they're too busy. They can't get to it or make a bid even.
I think it's more that it's a slightly complicated project.
It is.
There's a lot of easy money out there right now. So why would you bid on a complicated project when you can go get easy money?
Well, a lot of scrap in there too.
If you're
Come on, Andy.
muting.
Hi.
Happens to be my wife.
What do you forget?
Any other questions on the budget?
Yes, I have several. $8,000 for the wintry holiday lights display, which I think would be wonderful, but I really want to have a little more time to study it and stuff. Those are the lights that are down by the amphitheater, that same company.
Yeah, so if you go to the quote,
Yeah, I did all that.
yep. So I said we could do all of Main Street in one swoop.
The
right?
trees
The
or
trees,
the poles.
the trees,
Okay.
okay? All of the trees, and you see in the quote, he broke it down by side. Hang on, I'm trying to get there. This computer is.
Page 22. it looks
Yeah.
like.
So one side is 35, 36. And then the other side is 49.98. So I suggested that we split it between three entities. For some reason, Mike put this all on the DDA. And I suggested that it be split between three entities. So
Because
between,
the city did not budget for this. It was not
Okay.
requested that it be budgeted.
so anyhow, part of the problem with this too is we have all of the light plugs in town on all of our poles do not have a waterproof cover on them
Yes.
as well. So we'll have to have a waterproof cover put on. He offered to do it for $500 if we provided the waterproof covers for him. It is $950 every year to reinstall the lights just in the heart. Okay, and then it is, oh, I don't know. Hang
They must take them down and then put them back up.
on. Yep, they take them down every year.
That's 900.
$950 for the heart.
Okay.
Yep, and that's included in that $8,000.
I can't get my packet up for some reason here, so.
So labor cost every year just for downtown is $1,040 on one side and then $1,470 on the other. And then the cost to run the courts.
And this will be discussed more in item C as well. But so my understanding was that it's about $7,500 is being proposed for this year, and then ongoing costs would be about $4,000 per year in labor. Also, DDA should be aware that what's being proposed is that the chamber would pay for 1/3 of this and that the DDA would pay for 2/3 of this.
Have they agreed to that?
The chamber has said that, I put it on the or on the meeting last month and I had to get you guys to agree to it first. I mean, we're open to it, obviously.
That's for the first year, every ongoing year,
Well, as long as they have money.
disappear pretty fast. Well, it's good to
would
talk
submit-
about.
I would submit we have money, and this is one of the core things that we do is make downtown attractive and beautiful for everybody. I mean, I don't see where there's an issue in this, whether we nickel and
Yep.
dime this thing.
I mean,
I think it's important to do, so.
it is hard to find companies that do this for towns, okay? And this guy does all the neighboring towns.
Right.
So to find somebody to do it and then like just
Find
the-
somebody to do anything right now.
Yeah.
is
Come
horrible,
on, Jody, you're with me.
right?
Yep.
And So I personally don't think that the chamber should eat the full cost of this. And it's been done for free for years. And so, I mean, we've got away with it for years. Now we're not. So we either do it or we're gonna have people complaining on Facebook like we did this year that the downtown wasn't lit.
Thank God I'm not on Facebook anymore.
Well, it wasn't lit fast enough.
It wasn't lit up enough and it wasn't beautiful enough.
Other towns look better.
Yeah, well, other towns aren't on a MDOT
Do
emergency.
we have any substantive discussion on this?
I agree
On the
with you,
budget?
Dave, that we should definitely,
I got one quote, Rose. If you want to do it, by all means, it's on.
Oh, absolutely not. Well, I think what you got
Then
is,
then this is a yes or down, but we don't, guys,
yeah, I agree.
let's get through this.
yep.
Is there any other substantive questions on the budget?
Snow removal. $6,000. That's just there if we need it, right?
So this was a mild winter.
Uh-huh.
And I think, maybe I misread it, but I thought we spent about $5,000 this winter on snow.
That was and the sidewalks is different.
No, that's repairing sidewalks, I think, is the.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Snow removal.
6,080 sidewalks is for the creation and fixing of sidewalks in the DDA district.
Okay.
To go along with the 25,000 that council's put aside, although this would be required to be spent in the district. In addition to the $700,000 in grant money that I just got.
Nice.
Nice. I wanted to tell everybody that. Yes.
I did talk to O'Dowd's too, and I mean, unless we want to rebid it, but they were pleased to do it and it went well from their perspective, so.
Did we want to get a quote from them for snow removal off Main Street as well?
We can ask.
Curb snow. So we're talking about the curb snow now?
Right now, what we did last year was they do the swipe up and down, the same as they did. I know you brought it up 2 meetings ago about having the snow actually removed. We can certainly get a quote for them. It's not in the budget right now, so we'd have to find that money, but the budget right now would be the current, what we're doing currently.
So you guys are not required to approve of this and send it to the city council. Obviously, the sooner the better. They like it better. But as far as they're concerned, you guys have $68,480 to play with. And that amount's not going to change. So you can take the next month and approve it at your next meeting if you want. It sounds like there are at least some minor substantive issues that you guys want to figure out. Now, I
I'm fine with
know
all
it's
of it.
very difficult in a meeting like this to have everybody agree to the same thing, so you might want to develop a subcommittee if you want to make changes.
What's the will of the board? I would entertain a motion to approve the budget as written, but if,
Would I?
I would second it. So I will.
I'm
I
not
will
making
make
the motion, I'm asking.
Yes, I will make the motion to approve budget as shown.
Second.
any other discussion?
If we don't approve it this month, can we wait till next month? Is there anything really pending emergency kind of going on here?
No, other than the fact that the council likes to see it before they approve of it.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Council, I think, has the final approval May, so if you
Yeah.
wait till your next month, they'd only have about a week and a half before they'd have to approve it.
Okay, but they can see the thing because at council, something important like this, we'd like to look at it twice before we actually adopt it.
Which is why it's better to approve it now, give it to them before they approve it twice. Now, again, I'll remind you that, this is not set in stone.
Right.
If at some point in the near future you want to spend 20,000 parking lots on something else, we can do a budget amendment
Mm-hmm.
and change that.
Mm-hmm.
But the council likes to see at least earlier than later what you guys intend to spend your money on.
Okay, all right. Well, I can figure that out then.
All right, do we have a motion on the floor that has been seconded? Do we need a roll call for this?
It's
We're not spending right now. Roll call, okay. We'll do a quick roll call vote then. Ms. Arp,
Yes.
Mr. Byer,
Yes.
Ms. Ensley,
Yes.
Ms. Howland,
Yes.
Ms. Powell,
Yes.
Mr. Ringler votes yes, Mr. Friesen, Mr. Wilks.
Yes.
Thank you so much. The motion passes. 71 more North Main mural modification proposal. This is in your packet, I believe, where are they? Page 16?
16.
So apparently the last picture that I sent Mike, so there's actually a proposal for 3 wings, this big set of wings, and then a medium set of wings for little kids, and then a little small one for dogs over in the corner. I sent that to Mike, but must be it didn't get put in here.
I didn't have it.
We were emailing back and forth on it.
Didn't have it.
Liar. He lies like a dog, just so you know.
Make sure you get
So-
that in
We
notes.
can have them take pictures by the doggy wings.
Right.
Well, so I mean, obviously it's hard for you guys to approve of something you haven't seen, because it was never sent. But I think Ms. Ensley's probably at this point looking for, is this something you guys are even willing to entertain? Because you're not required to. You know, the contract provision does indicate that you guys shall have the authority to approve of a change. But I mean, is this kind of going in the right direction? Because probably by your next meeting, it's going to be warm enough to start working on this.
Mhm.
So she probably would like to have approval by the next meeting at the latest. And
I'm good
maybe
with it.
she
It's
could
affordable.
immediately after this meeting, send this to me again. If it wasn't
I'll
already
forward
done
you the
so.
email that you replied to.
And I will
Don't
then
worry.
forward it back to the board. Maybe a straw poll. Is this something you guys are even willing to entertain?
Yeah, I'd like to entertain it, but I sure want to see it first. No, I'm sure it's wonderful, but,
It's exactly like this, except there's 2 more added. ones.
Except for there's 2 more added wings, yeah.
that's my.
You have it on your phone, Laura?
Yes.
There you go. Pass it on down the line.
So this would be, we would just be approving it. There's no cost to us to do this,
Yep.
right?
No cost.
Correct. Okay.
So do they have to paint the whole wall over again?
Yes.
Is Ensley's gonna stay on there? It doesn't show it in the picture. Is that
But
gonna
it
be
has to.
different? It has to?
It has to by
Okay.
state.
Because that's not how it looks in the picture, but I was just wondering. It's quite great, but I want to make sure that,
Careful scrolling.
yeah.
Yeah. Here. So,
You could
yeah,
get into
so these are
dangerous
the 2,
trouble.
and then she couldn't place that in there. This is the one for the little dogs.
Okay. So how tall would you have to be to, actually have your shoulders between them great big wings? Is that,
Just 6 inches taller than you are, Rose.
Right.
I know, I'm sure. I have to
Put a
bring my
little box
stool
out there
down.
just for you.
I'll bring my.
Like I said, I had thought
Oh, yeah,
nice little
okay.
steps in front that you set plants on. It would look attractive
Mhm.
in my parking lot. Happy to do it.
One of your door cameras went off, but I don't
Is
see
every-
the little tiny one, but
Scroll to the left.
yeah.
Only one to the left, though.
Only one to the left.
I see 2 of them, but I don't see them.
Yeah, the third one, you gotta scroll to the left. She didn't fit it on that picture.
Oh, okay.
Is there any concerns given this image, or do we want to just motion to approve this?
I wouldn't be totally opposed with it just saying Cedar Springs established 1856. But I recognize we had to.
Don't like
Yeah,
the
I kind of,
Flowers and.
Make a motion, we approve it.
absolutely.
I will second that.
The only thing I'd like to say is it would be cool if it said hashtag Red Hawks somewhere on it, so people
What's that
would
mean?
relate those.
Yeah, that's why we did those wings
Yeah.
specifically, was because they were Red Hawk
Yeah, but
wings.
somebody that wasn't from Cedar Springs wouldn't understand that those are our
We're good.
school.
Even with the giant Cedar Springs above it.
Well, Red Hawks is a different deal. It's a Red Hawk wings.
So trademark.
Does it say Cedar Springs, Michigan on there?
Yeah, I was thinking about that, but I'm
We
giving.
have a
up that
motion,
thought.
if there's any other discussion, we have a motion on the floor that has been seconded. All in favor of the mural modification, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you. Discussion on the 22-23 downtown lighting display purchase and installation, which has been now budgeted for. I think we kind of covered it. Anything else?
Would you make sure to send that to me so I can have it in my records?
Yes. Again,
If you have problems, send it to me, I'll forward them.
it's hard to find good out.
You'll,
Thanks, Bernie.
you'll have to fax it to Bernie.
Email it home and I can get it.
All right, so we covered the lighting stuff.
I have to admit, the downtown trees were a little underlit this year.
Well, yeah, compared to the ones at the amphitheater that were just fabulous, you know.
That's the company that I'm proposing does it.
Yeah.
Those lights are all, they're commercial grade and they are, he says, the ones in Sparta have been up 5 or 6 years and they still are going strong. Right? And typically the other ones we would throw away every year and buy new ones.
Oh, yeah.
So part of, I mean, part of this cost, there's a lot of expense just for the lights.
Yeah, because they got to plug them in up in the
And he
tree.
stores them as well.
No, they're stored here at City
Okay.
Hall, but
Alright.
literally, how many totes do we have? 3? Yeah, for the heart. And that was there was quite a bit. So we may have 10 totes total, I would guess.
I couldn't remember when we were so thrilled that Jerry Hall put the lights up in downtown. Remember how that made a difference?
Jerry Hall does such amazing things for our town.
Mhm.
And we were thrilled to have it, but now everything's advanced, so.
So I'm hoping that we can get it done this year. I mean, I recognize it's a lot of money, you guys, and maybe we can do every other tree versus every tree and it'll cut this cost in half. But
If the money's available in the budget, I say we do it. Just because as Dave said, our job is to beautify and bring attention to downtown.
And it's initial.
Yeah, and
It's just the
Yeah.
initial.
And that's-
The next year, it's.
you gotta buy the products before they're out. So that's why I'm covered in flowers.
well, and honestly, if I tell him this month, we can save $1 per light, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's still $1 per light.
$1 per light when you got 500 lights is a significant number of lights.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's like $500.
Yeah. Woo, math.
Okay.
Yes.
We good on that?
Motion to approve.
There's
Seconded.
no motion there.
No, never mind.
All right, we're gonna
I
move
was
on
in
to
my second.
second agenda item C. Discussion of the Heart of Cedar Springs domain.
Crying.
You missed this one last month after asking to have it put on the agenda.
Well, and I had thrown this over to you because we at one time had owned all these domains as this was kind of coming with the idea that there would be a festival or something downtown, but they're expiring. In fact, I think they probably have expired, although I can grab them again, but we were gonna donate this to the DDA or whoever, if somebody wanted to maintain a site there to just track events and have information for what's going on downtown. So it would be a small expense that to do the annual fee and then whatever it would take to put a little simple website together. So if we had interest in doing it, and there were several suggestions, so.
Now, I'm not sure at this point we would really need a website, although these could serve as the DDA's website for broadcasting the good work of the DDA in the future. And Mr. Ringler, you indicated it was what, $15 a year or something?
Yeah, $15, a domain is $15 a year, yeah.
So I mean, that's nothing really. So if you want to reserve it for 2 or 3 years down the road, or if you wanted to wait 2 or 3.
Buy up to 10 years at a time.
I motion that we just buy it,
Yep.
Well, is there one of the three that we like?
First
all
one.
of them. You should own them all. You seriously, you should. You know, I mean, you
I
know.
did own them all.
Yeah.
I'm saying no, I don't
Yeah.
need them anymore. Do we want them for the DDA?
I would assume that you could probably redirect 2 of them to a third one.
We can read, well, yeah, that's what we have for ours. I mean, Cedar Springs Brewing, everything redirects to CS Brew, and I would think Laura's or Redbird's are probably the same, but,
Mhm.
Talking about $50 a year. You have to go
Basically, yeah.
for. Well, see, you just screwed up your budget already.
take that out of the parking lot. Or it would fit right into the downtown event marketing, so. I mean, right now, we don't have a site, so it would just probably redirect to the Facebook page, but
No, so if this is something you guys are interested in maintaining all 3 of them, I'm not sure if you want to put.
if the DDA is interested, then I would entertain a motion to approve the purchase of these 3 domains at a
I motion.
cost not to exceed $45 a year.
Second.
Yeah, so who's going to maintain them or
We're not
whatever?
maintaining anything right now. We just have the domains and they would point to the Facebook page.
Beautiful.
If you want to do a website, that would be a separate issue, but,
Oh, yeah, that usually is an issue.
well, you can do a simple website for basically nothing. It doesn't. There's a
And
lot
then
of
everybody
freedom.
goes to Facebook.
You can just direct it to Facebook and call it good.
So that, they would be $45 a year?
It's $15 a year per domain, so it'd be this year, to do this year would be $45 if we wanted all three of them.
Well,
Right.
if you guys think it's good for the DDA, I'll go along with you, because
I have a, it is a financial expenditure, so we'll do a roll call vote. Ms. Arp,
Yes.
Mr. Byer,
Yes.
Ms. Ensley,
Yes.
Ms. Howland,
Yes.
Ms. Powell,
yes.
Mr. Ringler votes yes, Mr. Friesinga, or geez, Mr. Wilks, I did that twice. Yes, thank you, sir. All right, now we'll move on to discussion of fence repair for 70 North Main.
This is a Mr. Briesinga item. I did direct him to work with the code enforcement officer to get a hold of the property owner to get some kind of agreement in place to be able to put that fence up. Mr. Briesinga being absent, and we did not discuss this with the code enforcement officer.
Table that for,
Hope that happens soon. That building looks so
Mhm.
bad.
Well, and unfortunately for the property owner, I think that that wall is going to be violative of the IPMC in multiple different ways. So it might be easier and cheaper for him to work with, Mr. Briesinga in putting up a fence, but I can't control other people, so.
I heard he was very ill, but I don't know if that's true.
I've seen him a couple times in the last
He was
He was
just
just
in
here.
the hallway.
Well, that's
He's
good to
been
know.
Pounding on my door. several
That's
days.
good to know.
okay, then a discussion of the social district.
Actually, if you'll give me 2 seconds, let me go see if code enforcement officers.
I really have to split at 1 o'clock, ma'am, and so if we,
No. Social district. Last time, I think the issue was with hours and days. There's been some concern expressed to the council about having it 20, all days of the week. And additionally, I think the first draft was until dusk, which obviously changes by 2 or 3 minutes each day. So I think personally that it's probably okay to have it from noon until 6 or 7 or 8 or whatever. Then a little bit later on the Wednesdays for the concerts in the park, but this is your guys' proposal to the city council. So if you have any thoughts on what time would be appropriate? What days?
I like the dust thing. I don't see what the problem is.
I don't see any
I don't
issues
see
with
what
it.
the
Well, and I
either.
think you create confusion if you want to switch certain days and certain times. No
Hours,
one
what?
will know
No.
when it's the right time.
Yeah, I think during dusk, except for
Mhm.
Wednesdays, obviously, because there's an event going on with the concerts.
Well, so I think the council is gonna say, are you gonna have a chart next to where you're serving the beer saying, well, on this day it's 7:56 and the next day it's 7:58?
You can look out the window and know.
Just say dusk.
I'm telling you what I think council's gonna tell you.
When you tell council that they need to know
Dark?
the sun goes down,
Yeah.
and when it gets dark.
Weren't they
that-
a
that's-
kid at one
Yeah, I was
point?
just gonna
You
say.
always went home when the lights went on.
Yeah, when
see
the
the
lights
lights
put
downtown.
on, you better be in the house.
That's right.
The lights come on.
Yeah,
That's right.
that's what we were told.
Don't
I
force
think
it.
it was kind of expressed, if you start monkeying around different times, and the last thing we want to start is the sheriff's giving people tickets because it's the wrong time on the wrong day, and now people are upset.
And now they're,
Dusk is dusk.
Yep.
Parks have signs all the time. Park closes at dusk.
Dusk.
Everybody knows what dusk is,
And if you don't, you.
my
gotta follow
opinion, but
we'll have to come
And
to the
so
council.
is Main Street gonna be completely closed? Can we put like picnic tables in the street?
So Main Street's
No,
gonna remain
they'll
open,
be going around there.
I think, to Oak Street or just past Maple Street.
So like in front of
to the library.
Dave and I, we could put out picnic tables?
It's gonna be open to traffic. Now, one of the things that I would say is probably okay is if you guys wanted to close Main Street through a community event application, it's probably much more likely to be approved of because we don't have
It's already
approved traffic,
closed. Yeah.
especially between Cherry Street and the bridge. So I'm sure the council would entertain a let's close Main Street for the evening type festivals.
I think we did that once a long time
I'm
ago.
saying you only do it 6 days a week. That'd be great.
Close it down between Cherry Street and whatever the next street north from there is. Have a movie at the theater and picnic tables on the road. I don't know.
Fun.
Well, as the folks that will be selling and dealing that with that alcohol, you know. How do you feel about that?
Like I said, that's what I'm asking for is just consistency to make it
Yes.
easy to understand. I mean, is it a big mover and a shaker? I would say no, but when there is an event and something going on, I mean, the concerts, I've been good, but there's been other events where people go, can I? And then they get mad. Well, why can't I? I do it on Wednesdays. Why can't I do it now? Well, sorry, it's not Wednesday. So the consistency is the one thing that we get fussed at for
I agree.
from where I sit.
Yeah, I haven't had any issues or anybody even question it. So we haven't done a whole lot of service for that, very few drinks that
I
way.
can understand council's point of view though, with dusk changing day to day.
Well, it's
Um,
lit up downtown.
Well, I was thinking, so concerts in the park could go till 9. Is there any reason we couldn't say just from noon to 9 every day of the week?
Well,
That's fine
because
with me too.
at 9 when you're leaving, maybe you're gonna stop and get a drink, take a stroll down Main Street.
I don't know. I'm wearing two hats here. I'm thinking about folks that live in Cedar Springs as well as the businesses. They might not really want to have alcohol service.
Not gonna be in their front
Has there been a
yard.
problem?
Not gonna be in their
Hasn't
yard.
been an It's never issue. happened.
It never is.
It's
Yeah,
not
it happened all last summer. Wednesdays.
once a week, yeah.
Okay, but like I said, what,
It was related to an event and I can see having it related to event.
Guys, there's not a lot to do in our town anyhow, big deal.
Yeah,
Let's give us
let's-
something to do. There's not, I mean, come
Sidewalk
on,
sales, the bike thing.
right, but do you see what I mean? I mean, who cares?
if it's a problem, we change it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
You can always rescind it.
Well,
We
it's
won't,
gotta
we won't know
go
if it's
past,
gonna work until we
it's
try it.
gotta go past council and, you know, we have to discuss it at length and I don't know. I want to support your businesses, absolutely.
At this point in time, I don't feel like there's been any major issues with it. And until a major issue comes up. that
even a
we-
minor issue.
Yeah, even a minor issue.
Yeah.
I feel like we should be able to do this till
We
9
can-
o'clock.
We can what if
Set time.
forever. I think the business
Yeah.
community here is speaking and saying
Right.
the
But then we
DDA,
have to remember, Wednesday nights is different, so you've changed that. And we have to remember if there's a library or children's activity beyond an event.
Why do you have to remember?
why,
Yeah, exactly.
what issue has there ever been?
Rockford's been doing it for how long?
Yeah.
I mean.
Every night of the
hello?
week, exactly.
They live on a side street, we live on a highway.
What?
So what?
Well, it's gonna be a side street soon enough of that bridge closed.
That's right.
Yeah.
Could we
Well, and
put
again, that's a
for
great
one
example.
summer?
They've been doing it there for 3 years and they have never had an incident, ever. There's kids walking around, there's families walking around getting ice cream and hot dogs. It's never an issue. It's not an issue. We don't need to be making boogeymans out of something that isn't. It's not an issue.
No.
I mean, maybe,
Well, then
There's no
ask them
way
to
to
come
know
to the
until we
meeting and
try.
talk to us then.
Right,
I'll
yeah.
come and talk on it, but
If we put it in on a season for 1 year, see how it goes and see what happens, I could look at that a little better.
Well, Ms. Powell, just for, what the law says right now is, so we're reviewing it. We obviously
Right.
did this last year for Wednesdays only. for the park.
Yes, yes, and it worked well. I agree with everybody on that.
We're proposing to modify that,
Right,
which council has to approve.
right.
Then we'll send it off to the state for their approval, which
Right.
shouldn't be a problem. And we could do the same thing next year. But if at some point during this year, we identify problems, all I have to do is schedule a hearing with the city council. And then the businesses who would benefit from the social district would then have the opportunity to rebut any claims that I was making, saying, oh, there's all these problems, you know, we should shut it down. And the council is then the final arbiter about whether we revoke the social district or not. So, you know, if there are problems, which I agree, I've been to Aurora during their things and there's no problems.
Right, but they're not on a highway. That's what I'm trying to get.
And I'm hopeful to have.
there's more traffic than there is here.
On their main
Way more
street,
traffic.
they're-
There's
Yes.
tons of drunks.
More cars drive through
More
Main Street.
cars,
in
more
Rockford
people, more
every day,
families.
and
Yeah,
more
they're
days on
serving
this.
them.
Drunks falling down all over on Red Flat Lake.
They close off that road.
Like everybody be aware of
The
that.
traffic goes around.
Good idea.
Fall
Let's
down.
vote on it. Change to 9 o'clock and vote.
How's that different from what we're proposing?
Can we just
It's
vote?
Going down the middle.
Yeah.
This is a discussion technically, unless you need something,
This year,
a
yes.
formal proposal,
So
so.
again, you guys can always make, you know, your decision today, but
think
I
it'd
guess
be
my
easier to
difficulty
start
is
Friday.
we leave it at dusk and make that proposal. Or do we pick a time and say, every day of the week, this is the time?
Every day of the week.
Yes, every day of the week. 10
That's
o'clock,
fine. I
I'm
mean,
fine with 9
You guys
o'clock. I'm fine
fine?
with 8 o'clock, but
9:30.
it should be certainly after 6. That's silly. I would say 8 or 9 for sure.
Yeah.
I'm keeping in mind that it's probably
like the
easier
9
to
o'clock.
How about 11:30?
concert deal at the same time as
Not even-
the rest of the week. So,
Funny guy.
The concerts are 7 to 9, maybe 9 or 10 at the latest.
And
No,
I make a motion.
how about if someone? I can't
I
make a motion.
motion
Will someone
that the
motion to 9?
social district plan that we close it down at 10 PM.
There you go.
Whatever I
A
need.
second.
Okay.
Hold on, what time do we start?
11 p.m.
What time, what
Would-
time do y'all want it
Go
to
noon
start?
to, noon to 9's
yeah,
fine
I
with
was
me,
just
whatever.
gonna say,
Noon to 9 or noon to 10?
If you want to go 10, that's fine. I'm fine with that. But at least 9's great because that goes to the end of the concert. I mean, there's cheap nights, there's also, Tuesday events. I mean, if you guys start creating events, I mean,
Yep.
especially with the downtown being
Okay, so
open.
I motion for noon to 10.
Second.
is All in favor of amending the proposal from daily from noon to 10?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. You guys are rock stars.
Okay, I'll make that recommendation to the city council.
New business, discussion of the Kent Theater facade improvement, street landscape or festival. Okay, kind of with there too,
We
yeah.
already talked about that already, right?
So I mean, basically, as it is stated there, I talked to Mr. Hopkins and Mr. Ellington. You guys have an email. They said it seems like they can do it. I would propose we spread it out over the summer, similar to the concerts in the park. Or with that same money, so instead of the movies, we could put together a streetscape plan that we could then maybe put together next year. Although I might do that through the city, if not done through the DDA. So
Who owns the theater? Is that?
it's owned by a nonprofit.
nonprofit.
No, you guys could spin that off as a restaurant really good too, and maybe do like $1 off kids meal or something.
Yeah, I mean,
we-
come in and have a.
We did a
$25
promo for
meal.
we did a promo for a couple plays, yeah, to do it. I know you guys probably have
Yeah.
too.
We do. kids
Yeah, I
movie
had the
every
pretzel.
Saturday and Sunday.
Or we
Mhm.
could show a comedy and we could have certain businesses hand out tickets.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Okay, so there's no business, there's no action required there.
Nope, so my hope is before next meeting, we'll have it more fleshed out.
Gotcha.
So we can announce maybe both the concerts in the park and the movie series at the same time. Public
I can connect you with the guy that does the comedy series in Rockford.
series. Is that different from a movie?
Like, I mean, if you guys want to do like a comedy thing there too, like a comedy night for adults.
Well, I don't care. At this point, I've got a budget to work with, so
Okay.
now I can just put together 10 or 12 shows to bring people into downtown. Do you guys have a recommendation for night of the week that this might happen?
Tuesdays.
Tuesdays would be
Nothing happened
super.
on
Yeah, I'd say
Tuesdays.
during the week for sure.
But they can seat 150 people in there. Is that what
Close
it's?
200.
200. And I went to that comedy show a few months back and it was really nice. And I think the theater made some money and the guy made some money by the looks of it. It was a very nice show, but it was only about 2/3 full, so maybe 125. I know everybody's coming into Redbird for dinner first. That was fun.
You guys also do me one more additional favor. So if I'm going to be scheduling 10 to 12 movies with the Kent Theater, could you send me an email with 1 or 2 films that you might like to actually see?
Old Yeller.
Something that you honestly think people would want to come into town. I mean, Old Yeller, probably not so much. Dazed and Confused, maybe as a fun summer movie. I don't know. Something that we at least have a list to work off of, see if they're available. Otherwise, I'm gonna pick all
Baseball.
Citizen Kane, Dr. Zhivago.
Oh, good lord. Seriously.
On with the Wind.
I think we can move on to correspondence, 2020 calendar.
Making sure you guys have it.
Thank you. DDA Director's Report.
Hoping to have somebody in to help me get your goals accomplished here shortly. As you guys know, it's hard to get anybody right now, unless somebody's good and qualified, so. We'll let you know, and I'll start working on some of your budgeted items.
Thank you. And we'll move on then to trustee comments. I'll start with Mr. Byer.
It's quick. Thank you. It was a good meeting. It was productive, I think, and it was kind of fun.
I guess so.
Next.
Moving forward, it's nice to see some things being done that will improve all of downtown.
I'm excited to see the changes that are happening.
I agree.
Everything's going great. I'm glad to see everybody and let's get this spring and concerts and fun on the road.
Just looking forward to seeing the Christmas lights back to what they were before. I missed those this year, like everybody else, but I'm looking forward to seeing bigger ones. Because if you all ever see my building around Christmas time, that's like my thing.
Yeah.
Real quick, I will mention, the Cedar Blitz is, May 21st. We are looking, we have a couple people participating again in the taste. We hope to grow that. They're already way ahead of last year. We're hoping for 300 to 400 racers this year, which would be double to triple what they went in. Meyer, Vanderhyde, Merrill Shoes are all on board with ourselves, along with ourselves. So I think this has, and I think we passed out some information to numerous boards and community organizations. I think that's potential to be a wonderful springtime event for our community. So
I'll be there.
thank you. And thank you all for being here and your participation. So with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second, wait, who did what? Go ahead.
All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Thank you.
Look at me, it's not my fault.
Mike, off the record comment. What are we gonna do about this?
We have an extra 10 used, but I understand.
Well,